good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another special interview with our favourite Uncle James Ali Bashir. Uncle Bashir, how are things?
Everything's going well. I'm here in Detroit with the former lightweight champ of the world, Jimmy Paul. And we're here at the Jimmy Paul's gym in Detroit trying to make it happen.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more about what you're doing in Detroit with Jimmy Paul.
I'm here in Detroit with Jimmy Paul, the former lightweight champion of the world, and we're trying to make it happen. He's got a nice gym here, and he's got some fresh young talent coming up in the amateurs and in the pros, and we're just trying to make it happen. I'm thankful to God that Jimmy Paul and company invited me in. They respect me as a world-class trainer, and they invited me in to work with them hand in hand, you know. Being able to work with the former great Jimmy Paul is a real big honor for me, you know. He's one of the few guys around that's humble enough to invite me in to add my expertise in what he's doing. And I appreciate that.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about Jimmy Paul.
That's Jimmy right there. Jimmy can tell you himself.
Okay, definitely. I'm gonna get onto him about that. That'll be something for the fans to enjoy.
All right. We definitely gonna have a good show. How you doing? Is it Jimmy?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
So, Uncle Bashir, first question is, clearly everybody wants to know what's going on with Vladimir Klitschko, injury.
The injury is just a sports-related injury. It happens to boxers, runners, rope jumpers, any athlete is bound to happen. If you're active, then you're going to get injured, you know, and this is no exception to the rule.
See, the thing is, after watching Klitschko's video of saying that the fight was called off, he didn't seem very apologetic in the video. It just seemed very bland and like he didn't seem to care about the fans, which led a lot of people to believe that the fight was kind of called off because he was trying to exert some sort of control to say to the...
I can tell you firsthand that's not the case. Vladimir Klitschko cares very much about the fanship that he has garnered over the years, especially here in America. Right. So I can tell you that he's a real down-to-earth guy, and he cares a lot about the fans, about the fans, you know. So that's not the case at all.
So the pullout is a genuine pullout. Then it's not mind games being played by Vladimir Klitschko.
No, not at all. Not at all. I can tell you that firsthand. Not at all. It's a serious injury. You know, he's taking therapy to get back to where he's supposed to be, and I think that the player's going to come off, and I think that he wants to be there.
So
he's the champion. He's the champion, and he wants to be there.
I'm hearing rumours and stories that Vitaly Klitschko is being used for sparring. Is this true?
Is Vitaly Klitschko giving Vladimir sparring?
Yes.
Why would I tell anybody that?
Well, I mean, well, I just want to know because it's a rumor that's out there, and I'm going to ask the question. So it's one way or the other. He is or he isn't. I mean, for me to have heard that, I mean, you know, it would make sense.
Well, we have to wait to see when they get in the ring.
Okay, we won't talk no more about that at the moment. Normally we banter quite well before a fight. We bantered about Bryant Jennings. We bantered about Pulev. It just seems that this particular conversation we're having, there's less banter, which leads me to believe that maybe...
Listen, Tyson Fury is a very talented boxer. And I expect, and everybody in camp, Klitschko expects a trying battle for the heavyweight championship of the world. Having said that, we will be fully prepared when we get inside the ring, and I do believe we come out the victor. I do believe that we will come out on top and shining as so. Like I said, he does better when he's facing taller fighters, bigger fighters. He seems to do better.
Now, a lot of fans.
And
a lot of fans have been dismissive of Tyson Fury's chances. Now, you as a world-class trainer, you said in a previous interview with me that if Klitschko's camp doesn't go the way it should go and adjustments are not made, this could be a 50-50 fight. Do you still hold to those thoughts?
Yeah, I hold to that because I think that Tyson Fury is coming to fight. I would be less than a good trainer if I thought anything else. I do think that this young man has an opportunity to take away the heavyweight championship of the world, and doing so, fame and fortune along with it. So I have no other recourse but to take him very, very serious. He's a good boxer. He's a talented boxer. He's undefeated. He's young. He's big. He's strong. So he has all of those plus as opposed to minuses in his favor. So, yes, I take him very serious, and I still say that it's a 50-50 fight.
Now, talking from a fan's perspective, and a lot of fans can be quite blunt and say, oh, Tyson's going to get sparked in a couple of rounds, Tyson's not good enough, he can't box. This is coming from a world-class trainer in yourself, Uncle Bashir. Would fans be, those fans that are saying the things, would you say that they're overlooking Tyson Fury when they say things like that?
Well, fans are just that. They're fans. They're not in the trenches. They're not in those training camps. They have most of the fans don't have any clue as to what goes on behind the scenes in preparation for these fights, especially at this level. They have no idea of what these boxers put themselves through mentally, spiritually, and physically. So they don't have a clue as to what's going to go on in that ring and the ramifications there. And it's a tough fight. They can say what they want to say, but this is a tough fight. Whether it ends in 1 or 12, this is a tough fight for both guys.
Is this okay? When we talk about tough fights, we bantered about Pulev and we bantered about Jennings. You're not doing the bantering in the same way. So are you saying that Fury presents more of a challenge than Jennings and Pulev, or is it something else?
I'm saying that Fury is a hyper young guy. When you got a hyper young guy like this here, you've got to be prepared to expect anything. You know, we don't know whether he's going to come, whether he's going to run, whether he's going to box lefty, righty, and the fact that he's a big young guy. So, yeah, I take him very serious.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's shift topics. Let's talk about a man that has just won another version of the middleweight title, Gennady Golovkin. Very good performance against the puncher, David Lemieux. Let's talk about David Lemieux first.
David Lemieux is a puncher. That's all he is. He's a puncher. And that's all that he is. He's a puncher. He doesn't have a clue about what boxing is. He doesn't have a view of what the sweet science is about. He's just a guy in there pitching for the fence and doesn't have a real clue as to how to do that. He missed 2/3 of his punches. 2/3 is a lot of punches to miss. But if you look back on that fight, you'll see that he missed 2/3 of his punches. And in doing so, he left himself vulnerable to attack because he was too tired. He threw away all his energy and nothing. He never landed. He wasn't landing his punches. He was throwing punches and wasn't landing. And that robs a fighter of his energy.
Okay. When I did a preview for the fight, my thoughts were that Lemieux's chances were based purely on being a puncher. And the fact that Lemieux was a puncher and he brought intensity, that was a challenge, and he had the intention to go to knock someone out. And I thought that he would bring
Let me ask you something.
Okay.
How many times did you see Lemieux successfully cut the ring off?
I didn't.
What?
I saw Lemieux trying to inch forward, and every time he was inching forward, his head was being rocked back by the jab. I didn't see him trying to slip the jab.
Okay, and what was And what was the position of Lemieux for the majority of the fight? A backward pedal.
His head going backwards, him moving backwards, so therefore he wasn't able to put full power on his punches, unable to slip punches, able to get inside or to maneuver himself into position to land punches. Because he didn't have much footwork for me, but you know, he had a lack of footwork. He couldn't. Did
you say that he didn't have much footwork?
Yeah, he had lacked footwork. Yeah.
I think that's an understatement. I don't think he had much anything. Shit. The only thing that he had much of was that grease that was holding his hair down.
And his hair itself, the hair in front of his eyes.
That was a joke. The whole thing is so. This is. I'm glad this is the destruction of pay-per-view. Because every time somebody pays to see a fight, they never get their money's worth. And that was just an example.
I mean, the billing of the fight was two punchers, but one guy who had very fast, superior boxing ability. I mean, I know we're talking running Lemieux down, but we've got to give Golovkin credit for the way he was able to control the fight with his jab, distance. We know Lemieux can't box. We knew that coming into the fight. But still, he negotiated a puncher, and he negotiated a puncher very well.
Like I said, a puncher is only effective when he got something to punch on. As the great Muhammad Ali would say, your eyes can't touch with your hands can't touch what your eyes can't see. If you're not there, if you're not available for those big punches, then they're ineffective.
So okay, let's change things for a second.
John Mugabe was an effective puncher when he had something to punch on. But anybody that gave him any movement, any slickness, or struck first, he was dead.
Okay, that's a valid point. But let's say James Bashir is talking tactics now with David Lemieux. Now we know his limitations. What would you have done differently? What would you have been instructing Lemieux on the night to do to Golovkin that clearly he was unable to do on the night? What would you have done differently? Apart from not taking the fight.
First of all, I would have trained him in a small ring. A 16 by 16. All my small partners would have been in that.
Right.
Then I would have instructed him to cut the ring off and engage Gennady Golovkin in the very first 3 rounds. Engage him. Because boxing him was a no-no. Mm-hmm. That was the first mistake, trying to box him, you know? He was trying to box him. He was incapable of boxing him. And he put some dirt on his casket very early, you know? He put dirt on his casket very early by doing that. And I would have did better with his footwork. His legs were so far apart. He took off 2 inches from his height, 2 inches from his reach, and he was punching from the back feet. Even when the punches landed, they were ineffective because his back foot wasn't under his butt. That's where the leverage is coming from. It's coming from your behind, your calves. The ball of your foot being dug into the canvas. You can't dig the ball of your feet in the canvas if your feet is 1 foot out of the ring and 1 foot in the ring. Look at the stance. His legs were so far apart he couldn't get leverage on the punches.
But hold on, David Hayes got a similar style where his legs are that far apart as well.
Yeah, but David Hayes springs in with punches. He springs in. When David throws those punches, he comes forward. Lemieux was throwing the punches and his feet was staying in the same place where he threw them from. And that's the difference.
Yeah, that is the difference.
David Hayes, when he throws his punches, he closes his feet up and comes forward. David Hayes is playing a lottery. When he throws the punches, he's playing a lottery. If I hit your ass, the fight's over. Lemieux doesn't have he doesn't have a clue as to what to do if somebody is boxing him. And now I bet there's 100 guys outside of his house right now with lunchboxes saying I'm next. Because they found out how to beat him. They found out how to beat him and box him. A good boxer always going to beat him. You know, if I'm Andy Lee, Kid Chocolate, Danny Jacobs, any of those guys. I'm lined up. I want Lemieux next. I want him next. I want the challenge next because they'll certainly beat him. Boxing skills is the order of the day.
So now we've got this situation. Is that not the trainer got to some sort of blame as to how the tactics were before the fight?
Of course. Of course. Of course. I just studied everything in this build up to this fight. And I can tell you, I saw at least 8 or 9 mistakes that the trainer was making in preparing Lemieux. You know, 8 or 9 that I was watching. I was watching their preparations, and from where I could see, there were some very fundamental mistakes being made by the trainer. You know, but now trainership is so has more to do with egos than actual teaching. And I don't think that guy's any exception to the rule. He just had a fight that can punch. Egos takes the place of knowledge and teaching now. The application therein is absent.
Okay, let me give me a characteristic of ego. Show me how ego presents itself as a trainer in today's society.
I mean, all you have to do is look around. All you have to do is observe on the internet, and you'll see where egos play a big part of this boxing scene. You know, egos play a big part of this boxing scene. I don't want to put nobody down because everybody's going to have a reason for justifying their own way of doing things. So everybody's going to be able to justify why they did something. It doesn't make it right to me. But sometimes I think that it's more egos than actual application. Teaching. I don't see that. I observed Virgil Hunter.
Yes.
And mind you, when I'm observing boxing, I'm observing the trainers too, because I want to evolve. I want to keep learning. And if I can learn something from any one of the trainers that's out there, young or old, I want to take it and I want to translate it into the way that I can use it.
Right.
But I thought that Virgil Hunter made some critical mistakes, and not like again, I'll say that everybody's going to justify why they did something, why they approached something a certain way. But I thought that he made some critical mistakes telling Andre Berto that Floyd Mayweather wasn't going to have anything. I thought he made a critical mistake in telling Andre Berto that this is a close fight, you need to win this round. The last round, I think it was the 11th round going to this 12th round, if I'm not mistaken. I thought it was a critical mistake telling him, this is a very close fight, you need to win this round. No. You need to knock him out, is what I was told him. I didn't hear much technical advice from Virgil to Andre Berto, and if it was some technical advice, I didn't hear it. But every time the camera went to the corner, and everything I heard was more psychological stuff.
Yeah,
Get him.
Something along the lines
he's vulnerable, go get him, he don't got nothing, and just walk through and things like that there. That's all I heard. And to me, that's part of egotism. You know? That's part of being ego.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I thought those was critical mistakes in that fight. I never heard the advice that I was expecting to hear, you know? And as it turns out, I'm not the only one that was critical of that, you know?
Yeah.
So when I say I'm being critical of what Virgil did, I'm trying to say that it's constructive criticism.
Of course.
You know? Constructive. I didn't hear nothing in that fight. And a lot of other trainers, a lot of other so-called top fans out there, they're making mistakes in the corners.
But clearly then...
They're making big...
Clearly then, Uncle Bashir, there needs to be an academy run by people like yourself to educate today's younger trainers so that they can pass on the knowledge that you have.
Yes,
because if that doesn't happen...
But what stops the growth of these young people is egos.
But if you set an academy...
When you talk to these young people, you know what they tell you?
What's that?
I knew that. I already knew that.
Well, look, For example,
I didn't need you to tell me that. I didn't need you to tell me that. I knew that.
Okay, but
you knew that.
That's
You're 25. Wait a minute. You're 25 or 30 years old, but you knew that. You're 25, 30. In some cases, 35 years old. You knew that. Okay, okie doke. Then you know something that took me 25, 30 years to learn. To know is one thing, and to be able to apply it is another thing. And most of the time, in those corners that I'm watching, in 1 minute they can't apply it. It's critical mistakes being made in that 1 minute.
Let me make a suggestion here, and it's something that I liked. I saw Emmanuel Stewart, the late Emmanuel Stewart, rest in peace. Emmanuel Stewart did a masterclass. He would do masterclasses where he would show certain, he'd invite trainers in and do masterclass sessions. Would you not go on the road and do masterclass sessions around the world so people can see and learn various tricks and various boxing techniques that will stand the test?
Well, it's ironic that you say that because Anita Ruiz, the girlfriend of Emmanuel Stewart,
yes,
and I have joined forces, and we're going to take this Emmanuel Stewart boxing clinic on the road throughout the world. That's our plan. We already have one class here in the city of Detroit at the Jimmy Paul's hands-on boxing gym in Detroit. We've already had one, and our plan is to go forward with this program all over the world. You know, even there in Ireland,
wonderful.
London, Spain. We're going to do one in Austria, Germany, France. We're going to do it all over the world. Anita Ruiz and I. We plan to carry the Emmanuel Stewart Boxing Clinic around the world to teach the people the logistics of the boxing sport.
Finally. Finally.
Yeah, because yes, we're trying. We're trying. As I speak, we're working on our plans. Our next teaching will be in a place called Roding, Austria, and then we'll move into Germany, and then we're going to London, and then we go back to Italy. We're going to take this thing on the road to teach people the logistics of boxing. Everybody claims to know.
The Irish would love you. The Irish would love you. They love their boxing. The Irish,
because the Irish people are studious. Those guys come to fight, man.
Yes, true.
Those guys come. The Irish guys, whatever level they reach, all right, whatever level they reach, they always put their heart, their soul into the sport. They don't come to play. They don't come to take prisoners. They come to kill or be killed. And I like that about them. These are rough, tough guys.
Yeah.
And they don't come to lay down.
Yep,
you know?
Absolutely.
But you can't go to the dance. You can't go to the dance with boxing skill, with slugging skills and power only. You got to come with the sweet science. The sweet science is boxing in, out. You know,
side to side,
cross. You got.
Yeah.
Hey, Kenny Rogers said in his song, he said, "You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. You got to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off."
Pick your fights wisely. Pick when to throw your punches.
I was in Germany, and I had a young Usyk, maybe in his third or fourth fight, and I was telling him to move forward and take the guy out. And the guy threw a wide right hand that just missed Usyk. My instruction when he came back to the corner was that the guy is not ready to go yet, go back to boxing. Stay away from him, let him throw away some more energy, and then we go back and get him. And that's how the fight unfolded. We knocked the guy out. But the more of what I just said was you got to know when to go and you got to know when to hold it. You know what I'm saying? I saw John David Jackson, who is a world-class trainer right now, and John David was boxing he's boxing a guy, I forget his name, Jorge something. Jorge Castro. Jorge Castro.
Yes.
And he made the one mistake in that fight. As good a fight as he was, he made the one mistake by staying there in the same place.
Too long.
Not punching and sliding to the right or left side, just to make the fighter move to look for him. The fighter knew where to fight him, even with blood in his eyes. He knew where John David was because he was looking down at the floor the whole time. Even when he threw the punch, he was still looking at the floor. And that cost John David the championship of the world. It was a critical lesson, a very valuable one, but a critical lesson nonetheless. So yeah, I would like to have the honor to take Emmanuel's place and take this boxing clinic throughout the world to teach the trainers, how this sport is supposed to unfold. Everybody claims to know something, but I don't see it in the boxing matches. I don't see it. I don't see the advice, the critical advice that you need in the corner to win fights. It
would be great if you could get some of the. If you could do 2 training camps, one for the amateurs and one for the pros, that'd be fantastic. Or you could do a pro camp, one day for the pros and invite all the pro trainers to be there, and then another day for the amateurs and have the amateurs to be there as well. So, like a 2-day thing.
Yeah. We're going to work on that. We've spoken about that also, We've spoken about that also. Anita Ruiz and myself, we've spoken about that, and we're going to address it. We're definitely going to address the whole thing.
Okay.
Because I feel like we're on the right track. In fact, even before Emmanuel took that program and made a package out of it to take it to the world, he and I spoke about it a couple of years before we even launched it. Before we even launched it, we spoke about it in private a couple of years before we even made the rules and regulations down about how and when we were going to do it. So, yeah, it's essential because there are not a lot of teachers out there. There are a lot of people out there who are slapping mitts and, they think that mitts is the holy grail of boxing, which they are not. Mitts are only making up a 1/5 of what boxing is about.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And if you watch Lamont the other night, if you watch him, he missed 2/3 of his punches because of how the mitts are being used with him in sparring. When he's sparring with the mitts, because the mitts are being used wrong, his punches he missed 2/3 of them. How could you miss 2/3 of your punches?
Yeah, mitts can't help you with footwork, can it?
Pardon me?
I said, mitts can't help you with your footwork, can it?
What footwork?
Well,
what footwork?
Well, there was some footwork, back, and back.
The first thing that Emmanuel and I sat down and talked about upon my arriving for the first time in the Vladimir Klitschko training camp was correcting and improving on the shortcomings in his footwork. Now you examine the footwork of Vladimir Klitschko. Here's a guy that's nearly 6'7". I think he's 6'6" and 3/4, 6'6" and a half. Here's a guy that's 240 pounds, and look at the footwork of him now.
Amazing. He's so graceful. Absolutely graceful. His footwork is brilliant. Really, really good footwork. And he's light on his feet as well.
Well, you can attribute that footwork to him being associated with us and James Brown, because that's how we did it. A little bit of James Brown and a little bit of knowledge. And now his footwork is superb for a big man like that.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the key factors as to why he's been heavyweight champion for so long. The footwork. To get in and out.
Yes, undoubtedly. And not just that. It's because he's such a studious individual. He's not a big head guy, Yeah. He's susceptible to teaching. If you teach Vladimir Klitschko something, he's going to grasp it and try to perfect on it. That's how he's going to do it. He's going to grasp it and he's going to perfect on it. That's why it's such a pleasure working with him. I truly feel as though that I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I've been with a lot of champions. I've worked in the camps of a lot of champions. Muhammad Ali, Tim Witherspoon, Donald Curry, you know, and so on and so on. Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson. I've been there. I've seen them all, you know. I've worked with them all. And I truly, truly feel blessed at this stage of my boxing career to be in the employ and a member of Vladimir Klitschko's training staff. You know, he's a humble, studious guy, and he's susceptible to what you're teaching him. If you point something out to him, he's not going to say, I'm the champ, or I'm a gold medalist. He's going to say, that's a good idea, or that's a bad idea. He's going to come straight to you and say, I like the idea, I'll try it. And that's part of what a good champion is made out of, the one that listens well. And a lot of guys now, you can't tell them nothing. Everybody's the wise guy. The trainers are wise guys. You know, some of them look like they're about 10, 11 years old. They're talking about their trainers. Training what? Gerber baby food? What can you train? You know, but they're trainers. And they call themselves teachers. And these are novice guys. Novice guys that will not be able to help their fighter when crunch time comes. When they're in a bad situation in one of those fights, when they fight in one of those tough fights, and they're in a bad situation, that trainer, that novice trainer, is not going to be able to help you out of that jam. He's not going to give you the critical advice that you're going to need to get out of trouble. In most cases. I won't say every case, but I'll say most cases, they won't be able to get him out of the trouble. If you don't believe me, just watch the fights on television. Watch the blundering mistakes that's being made in those corners.
Well, there was a fight that was on PBC, I think Saturday night just gone, and a fighter was unbeaten. I think he was 16 or 17 now in the welterweight division, and he got dropped for the first time his career he'd been dropped. He went down, he got up, and he got dropped a couple more times, and the bell went back to the corner for the 9th round, and the trainer took his gloves off, and they said, "Oh, we didn't know. We thought it was the 10th round. The fight was over."
Well, I think that was a ploy to buy time.
Oh,
I don't think they made a mistake.
Absolutely. And the ref said, "No, fight stopped, all over." But I mean, you know, they should have known. They should have known that was a drastic ploy, and the commission didn't buy it. The commission knew what they were trying to do and called the fight off. And now that kid just had brain surgery. Did he?
Yeah.
I know he collapsed.
Remember he got hit in the back of the head?
Yes, I remember that. And I also heard.
He went to the hospital the same night. He had brain surgery. He's in trouble right now.
Wow.
He had brain surgery, and everybody around the world is praying for that kid right now. Cologne, his name is. Cologne. Wow. He had brain surgery Saturday night, and he's in trouble right now. You know, everybody's praying that he'll be all right, because boxing is supposed to be a sport, and nobody is supposed to get hurt. You know, where he can't return to his family. You know, but I felt that again, even the referees have got to be taught better, because he let the fight get out of hand very early. There's a difference in controlling a fight or making a fight about yourself. There's some referees out there, you know, half-cock referees that over officiates. You know, balance is the key when you're doing anything in the sport of boxing, especially, because people's lives and careers are depending on what you do. You know, the guy in the Peterson fight, he takes point. Anything that happens, he takes point, even without warning a fighter. I feel that a referee should warn a fighter once or maybe even twice, depending about the infraction. I think that the referee should warn a fighter once, and depending on the infraction, twice before he takes the point. This guy just takes points. He comes in the ring virtually with the concept that I'm going to take a point the first thing you do something wrong. It's not right. It's not fair. You're tampering with people's careers, so you need to be a little more respectful to the fighters. And then these guys that tell the fighters, shut up, no talking. I would tell them, you shut up. because there's nothing in the rule book that say I can't talk. Talking is part of my strategy. So who are you to tell me to shut up and I'm doing the fighting? There's nothing in any rule book in the United States anyway, and I don't believe in the world, that says a fighter can't talk. And if there is something in the book that says they can't talk, then show me, because I've never seen it. So with that being said, how can you tell a fighter to shut up? You don't know what his strategy is. There's nothing in any rule book that says that a fighter cannot talk. And these guys are the fighters, so who are you to tell them to shut up? I don't like it. I don't like it. I think these guys over-officiate. I think they, again, ego trip. You know, they try to make the fight about them instead of the fighters. The fighters are doing more fighting, and you're just sitting back talking. So shut up yourself.
Do you think these referees are doing that and being that way so they can be on the big cards, they get paid more money?
These guys are, like I said, the ego trip. This is my 5 minutes of fame, and I'm going to boss around 2 guys that's working, that's tired, that's exhausted, that's trying to win for themselves, their families, and you got some bird going to come and tell a fighter to shut up. Who are you to tell a fighter to shut up? Who are you to tell? You don't know what the guy's strategy is. I saw the guy off my camp the other night tell the fighter, okay, come on, guys, this is the last round. He's telling the guy to mix it up. No, sir, it's not your job to tell my fighter what to do. You can't tell my fighter to mix it up. The guy went out there trying to mix it up and get the court knocked out, and then the guy got a loss on his record because some bird brain referee said, come on and mix it up. That's not your job. Your job is to officiate only. Your job is not to tell a fighter to mix it up or stop and go or whatever. You know, I mean, everybody can learn. You never, never, ever, ever stop learning as long as you're alive. Everybody can learn from everybody. You know? Everybody can learn from everybody. But you got to be open-minded enough to do it. In the sport of boxing, they are some of the most narrow-minded people that I've ever met. Because everybody is on an ego trip. This is the way I do it. This is the way I'm going to do it. And most of the time, it's the wrong way. I spent the last 46 years of my life doing this here. 46 years. I've struggled in this sport. You know, I've struggled in this sport. I started at the very bottom, carrying a spit bucket. And I worked as an understudy, basically, to other trainers for years before I even trained an amateur boxer. Long before I got in with an amateur boxer, I studied under some of the great trainers of the past. When I say great trainers, I mean great trainers, you know? And I carried the water bucket, and I stayed under those guys, and I learned before I even trained the amateur boxer. So, you know, it takes time. Everything takes time. But we're in the generation that I said they want to put it in a jar, shake it up, and we're ready to go. That's what they think. And that's what we had in boxing now. That's why boxing is in such a critical state. Because you think you can get a guy to come in overnight and they can be a trainer. Just imagine if you had the same kind of people trying to be doctors. If you had the same kind of people trying to be doctors, what can we achieve? Everybody thinks that they're capable of being a trainer. And it like makes mockery of the sport. I'm traveling in gyms, as you know, all over the world. You know, Britain, Spain, Austria, Russia, Ukraine, you name it, I've been there and I've observed. And most of the trainers that I see are very egotistic people. This is my way, and there is no other way. We're not going to even negotiate, especially when you get to other countries, Russia and Ukraine and stuff. They're stubborn and they don't want to listen. You go to Texas or Las Vegas, they're stubborn, they don't want to listen. This is the way I do it, and you keep quiet. No matter how much proof you bring to them, and still somebody's going to say, this is the way I do it. and they think that muscles and being strong has everything to do with winning, and it has little to do with winning. Very little to do with winning, because you're strong. It has very little to do with the application of the sport. What has to do with the application of sport is being able to box, to be able to understand the flaws going into a fight. How to capitalize on those flaws of your opponent. Every human being has a flaw. It's up to the wild boxer to observe that flaw throughout that training camp. I believe in old-fashioned things like sitting back and watching videos throughout the training camp. You know, years ago, as a young man, when we trained in the gym, we were advised to put a towel on or put our robes on, and we would take another hour and a half to watch videos. I mean, you know, I remember watching the videos of a guy named Holly Mims, Holley. Last name was Mims, Mims. I don't think Mims ever became champion, but he was a unique boxer. Henry Armstrong, all of these guys, I would observe them. Reuben Carter, Georgie Benton, we would watch these guys on film. Or we would come in the gym on Friday night, and we called the Gillette Friday Night Fight. And I remember watching these guys. This was part of our teaching. And nobody does that now. And during that time, there was no mitts. I had my first fight in 1959. My last fight probably 1971. All right? And there was nobody used mitts. There was no mitts. It was the double end bag and the heavy bag. That was it. That was our tutelage on the heavy bag and the double end bag. So nobody was hitting mitts then. Now, everybody and their mother got some mitts, and they think that that's the holy grail of boxing, and actually it's part of what's wrong with boxing. So everybody's out there doing theater, you know, doing theater boxing.
So according to you, if I get this straight, because there's a lack of teachers in the game, the next 20 years in boxing could be quite... The standard of boxers we're going to have, technically, is going to go down the drain. And we may have to wait another maybe 20 or 30 years before we get really good quality technical fighters. But then you've got guys like Rigondeaux, so how does that work out?
You know, I respect Deontay Wilder. I respect him, even though I think that he's green in many areas. But I respect him because he's talking the talk and walking the walk. He was faced with some adversity in that last fight. He had a swollen left eye, you know, and he was pressured. He was under some pressure to win in that fight. There was some kind of setback that he had to come through. He had to come through the forest, you know, to get that win. It wasn't an easy fight for him. I don't know whether he saw the fight, yes, but I thought that it was a difficult fight for him because he was injured in that fight.
Wow.
So I respect him for being there, but he needs somebody to back him up. He needs some other American fighters to step up to the podium and say, I'm here with you, Deontay, and I'm going to lead us into the future. Andre Ward is a very good fighter, you know, which, by the way, Virgil Hunter did a very good job with Andre Ward. You know what I'm saying? He did a very good job with him. So Andre Ward is right there in the forefront of boxing. He's just not visible right now for whatever the reason. He's not getting those fights. He's not visible enough, you know. But Deontay Wilder is the torchbearer, so to speak. He's the guy that's out there, visible, and if he can beat Alexander Povetkin, then he's going to be the new kid on the block.
Well, Lennox Lewis says that Deontay Wilder needs a trainer. He needs help. What are your thoughts?
The two trainers that he had, Mark Breland is a seasoned guy. He's been around for a while. And I forget the other guy's name. I met him in Rodney Christo's camp, the guy that started Deontay Wilder out.
Right.
But different types of trainer plays different kinds of roles. If a trainer can relax a guy, if a trainer can keep a guy on his toes and keep a guy alert, you know, he's a good trainer. because that's his role. He has to understand that that's his role. That's what's making the boxer who he is. People think that Angelo Dundee was the trainer for Muhammad Ali, but Angelo, it was another guy there named Wally Youngblood and Drew Bundini Brown. Those were the two trainers. Those were the two efficient trainers for Muhammad Ali. They made Muhammad Ali who he was, along with Dundee. So there's a chemistry with the trainership. There's a chemistry. You know, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 guys to get the tip to do what we need to do to win. You know, that's not the case for every fighter, but that's the case in Muhammad Ali's case. And that may be also the case in Deontay Wilder's case.
Okay. Rickendall? What about Rickendall?
I like the heavyweight kid, King Kong. I like him.
Okay.
The Cuban kid. You saw him?
Yes, I've seen him.
You saw him, right?
Yeah, I have seen him.
I like him, especially the other night. I like him. To be a big guy like that there, he's lost a lot of weight, too. To be a big guy like that, a southpaw that can move like that there, that can punch like that, that was attractive to me. That let me know that there's another player on the block. Outside of the other guys that's out there, outside the other heavyweight guys that's out there, King Kong is a major player in my mind. He's a major player in the sport.
What about Eddie Chambers?
He's a major player. Eddie Chambers has yet to come to the forefront. Eddie Chambers has yet to display the talent, all of the talents that he possesses. He has yet to come out and get right there in the forefront of the sport. Because every time he's been up to bat, he's failed. For whatever the reason, he's failed. You know, and now it's the time. I think Eddie's 33 now. Now is the time. If ever there was a time that Eddie needs to perform, now is that time. He's got to do that. He's got to come up now or forever hold his peace. Because the talent pool is getting younger and younger and younger. And age will get you. I don't care how young you feel, how good a workout you got, youth cannot be beaten. So Eddie Chambers needs to get up now and make his move now. You've got the kid King Kong. You got David Parker. You got the other 2 guys over getting ready to fight in London.
Joshua
the 2 heavyweight kids.
White.
Joshua and Dillian White. You got those guys. I mean, the talent pool is getting younger. You got the White Rhino. You know, all these young guys are coming. These guys are coming. The other kid from Sheffield, the other big kid from Sheffield.
Towers.
Yeah, Richard Towers. All of these guys are coming. Those are young guys, young stuff, and they're not going to get worse. Many of them are going to get better. So I think now's the time for Eddie Chambers to start calling people names. Call some names and make the fights. Don't sit back dormantly and quiet. You know, like the good kid, you know, sitting in the back of the class, get on the phone and say, look, hey, I want to fight so-and-so. I need to fight this place. I need to fight that place. You got to say something. If you're not going to say nothing, nobody's going to say nothing to you. I think that he needs to get off the stool now and say, let's fight. He's 33 years old. The clock is ticking.
Wow. The
clock is ticking. He has a lot of talent. And I think that those guys that's out there is going to make the best come out of Eddie Chambers. Eddie Chambers is at his best when somebody is trying to hurt him. When somebody is trying to hurt Eddie Chambers, he's at his very best. He's very capable of beating anybody out there. But he's got to make his move now. He can't wait no longer. He's just out of time. He's backing through the walls. Like I said, the talent pool is going to get younger, bigger, and stronger. You know, and I like Eddie Chambers. Okay. But he's got to make his move now.
I want to take a moment to thank UAE Boxing News and K2 Promotions, they recently did an article. They translated the whole of our interview, the last interview we did. They translated the whole of the interview and put it on their websites. So I just wanted to take this moment to say thank you and acknowledging K2 Promotions and UA Boxing News, Ukrainian Boxing News, for their time to kind of translate our whole interview. Uncle Bashir, have you got any thoughts on that?
Whatever it is, it's good for boxing. That's my thoughts.
Fantastic.
I think there's any input that's good for boxing. Boxing is my life. Boxing is many people's life. And I aim to do the best that I can and all that I can to uplift boxing while I'm alive. I know my time is coming. Everybody's time is coming, you know? But I'm going to do the best that I can to contribute to the sport of boxing for the rest of my life. However long that is, I'm going to do everything I can to uplift boxing. They say boxing is dangerous. They say boxing is dangerous, but being a construction worker is just as dangerous.
It is indeed. It is indeed. It is indeed. I'm not sure if you're aware of the Dave Allen, the White Rhino. You mentioned him earlier. He has a fight coming up this weekend on Sky. He's going to be fighting for the area title.
On what? On what? On what?
On Sky TV, Sky Sports.
On Sky?
Yeah, on Sky.
Sky?
Sky.
Oh, on Sky TV. Okay.
Yes. So he'll be fighting.
You make sure you look at him. I'm very interested. I'm very interested in him.
Okay.
I like his style. I like his attitude. You know, I'm very interested in him.
Okay.
And he like I said, he's in the upcoming talented circle. Dillian White, Anthony Joshua, and all these young guys that's coming. King Kong and all those guys coming. I think that he's I like the guy that King Kong knocked out. The Argentine guy, I like him. It's not always the technique of the boxer, it's the mentality. I like his mentality because he wants to fight. If you get a guy that wants to fight, then those guys can be taught. You know? But my preference in training boxers, you know, I can work with anybody, but my preference is the short heavyweights like Eddie Chambers. I like those guys. I like them. They seem to be able to box better, take a punch better, you know, and they have ring finesse. You know, I like those guys. I'm very attracted to those kind of guys. I said to Anthony Joshua, if Anthony Joshua can take a punch, which nobody knows yet, if Anthony Joshua has the mental tolerance, then he will be the second coming of George Foreman. I can tell you that right now. But the two minuses is, does he have the mental tolerance? And can he take a punch? Can he get up when he's hurt? The way George Foreman did with Ron Lyle twice. You understand? Can he come back in a fight like that? If he can do that, he'll be the second coming of George Foreman. He'll rule the heavyweight division if he can do that. If he has that mental tolerance, if he can get up from a knockdown, because he's going to take the floor, can he get up and fight and win? If he can do that, he'll be the second coming of George Foreman. It'll be a long time before somebody beat him.
Does Dillian White pose that much of a threat?
Dillian White can pose a threat for any heavyweight. But in his case, timing is everything. And I think timing will be critical in this fight with Joshua. I just don't like the idea that White is taking this fight so soon after a 2-year layoff.
That's my point as well. I agree with you.
These are young guys. I'm saying, what's the hurry? What's the hurry? I mean, these are young men. It's not to say that Dillian can't win the fight, but the likelihood of him winning the fight is like uphill. because the momentum goes with Anthony Joshua. My thinking is that the momentum goes with Anthony Joshua. Dillian White should have taken 8 more months to a year and took 2 or 3 fights to prepare him for Joshua. He hasn't had that fight. He hasn't had nothing that's going to prepare him for the fight that he's going to have with Joshua. And again, that's not to say that Dillian White can't or won't win the fight. I'm just saying the momentum goes with Joshua.
The other thing is, people keep going back to the amateur fight, but since the amateur fight, Joshua's gone on and fought.
No. I mean, come on. Henry Tillman beat Mike Tyson in the amateurs. You see what happened in the pros, right? It doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't mean nothing. The amateur fight was one thing.
You try and tell a lot of boxing people that they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. And I'm saying that Joshua's gone on since he went and fought in the World Championships. He's gone and fought in the Olympics. Dillian White didn't do that. And now that in itself is experience, which is key. And that's surely got to help Joshua in terms of travelling and fighting on big occasions and big arenas, you know. And surely Joshua's going to be mentally better prepared than Dillian White. Surely. That's got to help him.
Well, if it was up to me, I would just tell Dillian, you know, to take two good fights. Mm-hmm. You don't have to fight the killers, but he got to fight some big guys that would prepare him for a fight with Joshua. I don't think that he's had those fights. I don't think that he's had those fights in his comeback. I think that he needs time, you know, so that he can get the momentum swinging his way on neutral balances. But right now, the balance of momentum lies with Anthony Joshua. That's just my opinion. You know, that's just my opinion. I think that fight won't go the distance. I think that it'll be a short fight, very explosive fighting. A very explosive fight, but I don't see that fight going the distance.
Okay.
One of the two guys was going to get knocked out in that fight.
Absolutely. I want to go back to something we were talking about earlier on, which was because we talked about Lemieux. We didn't really talk that much about Golovkin, and probably people listening to the show would say, "Oh, well, you didn't talk about Golovkin." So let's talk about Golovkin for a minute, and we'll pick up from the fact that he's now beaten David Lemieux, and who's going to challenge him next? What do you see as the way to go about beating Golovkin? Because for me, I thought David Lemieux, in my mind, the way Lemieux was going to fight Golovkin was going to jump on him from the first round, first, second, bang, jump straight on him and just take him into a wall. I thought that was what he was going to do, and not give Golovkin the time or the space of the room to throw punches. But clearly that didn't happen. So how do you break down Golovkin?
Lemieux allowed Golovkin to get comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Golovkin came out working behind the jab, boxing 101, which I totally agree with. Mm-hmm. He came out cautiously because he knew that he was in with a big puncher. He came out cautiously, but he did not allow the jab to go to sleep. He started popping that jab right away, popping it. And the more he landed the jab, the more comfortable he became that he could control the geography of the ring, and that's exactly what he did. By the time he was in the third round, it was all GGG. But like I said, he hasn't had the challenges to show how really good he can be. Nobody knows how good GGG can be because he hasn't had the challenges. He hasn't had the Carlos Monzon, the Rodrigo Valdez, the Marvin Hagler. He hasn't had that.
See, now I think someone to beat Gennady Golovkin would be somebody like with the blueprints of a Sugar Ray Leonard, somebody who's got good footwork, who can punch hard and can get in and out with explosive speed and power. That combination of good footwork.
Roy Jones would have did a number on Golovkin.
Yeah, there you go.
Because Roy Jones was all over the place. He was fast and he was accurate. He could punch and he punched in combination. I mean, Roy would be all over the place. So Golovkin would have a very difficult time with a guy like Roy Jones. Carlos Monzon was a tall, strong middleweight that would have came forward on him, you know. Marvin Hagler, we know, would have came forward bombing. Rodrigo Valdez, those guys, and even Nino Benvenuti, you know. But these guys, these middleweights now, they don't seem to be interested in meeting them. So yeah, Gennady Golovkin is a powerhouse now, but he really hasn't had the dance partners to aid him. You know, Hagler, Leonard, Hearns, Duran, Benitez, all of those guys have each other. You know, but Gennady don't have nobody there in that class that seems to come to the forefront that says, I want to fight. I haven't heard Danny Jacobs, Kid Chocolate, Andy Lee. I haven't heard nobody say, let's fight. And these guys are champions. You know, so I'm interested in seeing it. I really can't tell what he got. I really can't tell his deficiencies or anything because nobody has come to challenge him.
We saw the
Everybody first.
The Willie Monroe fight, but now I'm hearing stories that he wasn't well for the Willie Monroe fights. That's why he was getting caught with the punch he was getting caught with.
Yeah, because he can afford to get caught with those punches. Because Monroe can't knock down a potato chip bag with a bulldozer. You know? So he can afford to walk in there. You didn't see him walking into this last kid the other night like that.
No.
He was very respectful because the guy can punch. Monroe's a good boxer, but he didn't have those guns. He didn't have those guns. He didn't have those guns to hang out with him.
It looks increasingly that the Golovkin's going to have to move up to super middleweight to face any real challenge.
He doesn't want to fight Andre Ward. I believe Andre Ward will beat him. Everybody believes that.
Yeah, everybody believes, yeah.
They're very smart.
What
His
about...
promoters is very smart.
Let me give you a fight here that I'm looking at. James DeGale versus Gennady Golovkin.
I don't know. James DeGale, I don't know. I believe Golovkin beats him too.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Mentality.
Okay.
I think Golovkin going to beat him in the mental department. You know? Why haven't James DeGale made some noise and said, I want to fight?
He's got Boutte now.
He's quiet too. He doesn't seem to want to get in there either. There are a lot of potential guys that could fight him. But they're not, they got to show some interest in one fight. They're not showing any interest. Where's the guys that's on television, like the old fighters? I want Golovkin next. I want to be the next guy to face him. Nobody says that.
Lemieux wanted to fight Golovkin.
Yeah. For that change, for that little bit of money, yeah. Well, in this case, a lot of money. Lemieux just fought John Mitchell. He said, shit, I'll pick up a couple $1 million here. I'll get my behind for a couple of million. He got a couple of meetings, but he got an ice pack on his head right now. Said, they're laughing at me, but I got that money in the bank. You better get on the internet trying to find a teacher. You better get on the internet trying to find a teacher because them people that he had in the corner, they can't teach him nothing. They can't teach him nothing. I'm calling him speed and say he can't teach him nothing. You know?
Well, I remember Ross Anbar talking about Lemieux saying that he's very hard-headed. He doesn't learn. He's just a raw puncher. That's it. And that was his old training.
Well, my mother used to tell me, she said, a hard head will make a soft ass. I think it's a good time to go in now because he's soft now. After that beating he took the other man, he's pretty soft now. He'll listen now.
Well, he says he wants a rematch. He's talking about fighting Gennady Golovkin again. He said the stoppage wasn't. He said he shouldn't have been stopped. But
well, if I made that much money, I'd want to fight him again too. Next time I get out in 2 rounds. Now that I know what kind of beating I'm gonna take, I get out in 2 or 3 rounds. I that check ready.
Okay, I do want to mention this to you. I know your argument would be to me that okay, Abel Sanchez inherited Gennady Golovkin, and I know you would say that, and I can agree with you on that. But it still takes a trainer to be able to come up with the tactics for a fight to execute.
No. I didn't say Abel Sanchez was a bad trainer.
No. I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying that because obviously if you inherit a good fighter, then that sort of takes away the difference between you building a fighter from scratch to a fight you inherit. So, but even if you inherit a good fighter, there's still that element where you've got to take that fighter to the next level and get them to perform. So, how much of that is credited to the trainer, and how much is that credited to the fighter?
It's a mixture. You can't tell. Because, like I said, they have camaraderie, and when you have camaraderie, it's easy to teach.
Now, here's an example. Here's a good example. Abel Sanchez had Kovalev for 5 fights. John David Jackson took him afterwards, and Kovalev, people say, has improved so much under John David Jackson. So was it because Abel Sanchez was unable to give him what was necessary, or was it that John David Jackson brought something different to the table, or was it just that some coaches can't coach everybody? I agree that you can't coach everybody, that some coaching styles suit some fighters better than other fighters.
A lot of it, like I said, very much of it boils down to chemistry.
Right.
When you like working with somebody, you're more susceptible to learn.
Yeah.
When you feel like you're being in a crowded situation where you got 4 or 5 guys on the table, it's easy for one guy to get disenchanted with working with the trainer.
Right.
Because most boxers at that level want the lights on them. Right. They want the full attention of the trainer.
Right.
You know? I have guys here in the States that always get upset with me. Well, when you going to spend time with me? And I tell them, hey, dude, Vladimir Klitschko and Alexander Usyk is my priority. They're my biggest accounts. So what do you think I should do? So stay here with you and make $2,000 a fight? Or do I go with those guys and make $25,000, $30,000 a fight?